YouTube, it's your boy FPL man, and I'm back here with a brand new video. Today I've got for you my Game Week 23 team review as well as my Game Week 24 team selection. We're also going to be covering the assistant manager chip, what chip to use in Game Week 24, whether to activate your TC or the AM chip. As you can hear by my voice, I'm not very well, I'm quite sick actually, but you know, we're still doing this video, getting the content out for you guys. So make sure to smash the like button and let's dive in. So there you have it. As you guys can see, your boy absolutely killed it again in Game Week 23. I had a 68 points total. My all rank was 4k, and we had a nice little green arrow to 3k. It's going to be harder to climb as the time goes now because we're in the top 5k. Ultimately, everyone's very competitive over there. Everyone is engaged. So still happy to have a green arrow. Raya and Gabriel, double Arsenal defense did clutch up. And ultimately, there's a lot of people that did want to maybe, go for the likes of Alisson or maybe Pickford for the double game week that are coming up. But I held my ground. I didn't want to sell Raya to Alisson. I thought it was a bit of a sideways move. All the double Arsenal defense were quite disappointing in the recent weeks. Really happy to get a 9-pointer from Raya and 7 points from Gabriel. That was absolutely differential and huge, especially around my rank. And then you had Lewis Hall, quite disappointed with only 2 points. But still, I'm happy to own him. He has obviously, delivered really well in the past few weeks. And then you have Trent Alexander-Arnold. He was on for another 12-pointer. And then obviously Greaves at the end scored from very low XG goal. But still, I'm happy with Trent. I know a lot of people also have double Liverpool defense, so that didn't hurt me too much. Overall, happy with the back line. Really solid. I did say going to the game week, I'll be really shocked if this team didn't get 20 points. And I guess you can see, I guess it's around that still, so I'm quite happy. In the midfield, you got Salah, captaincy. What can you say? It's template. Nothing else to say. He's got a goal, 195% EO. It's ridiculous. I just want safe. I know that Isak was a completely viable captain. I just didn't want to risk it considering how much of a risk it was, especially around my rank. And then you got Foden, who was my Saka replacement. Absolutely smashed all the Saka replacement. And that was the best Saka replacement. And I remember when Saka got injured, I said, now this is where the real managers come out. And because the game was quite open. And it was about, what kind of manager you are. Are you a manager that goes safe or you take a bit of punt or you gain there? And that's where I saw the opportunity. And not many people are talking about City and they were quite down on them due to their form. And as well as Foden, to be honest, and Haaland. So I looked at that as a listen, this guy's a Premier League player of the year last season. All of a sudden he hasn't become washed. So I went there and ultimately that was the best Saka replacement. He absolutely killed it. Mr. Consistent. And then you had Ahmad, who did score a goal in the last minute, but it was ruled for offside. I think it was quite a very close call. In my opinion, it wasn't offside, but still, you can't get all these calls right. So Ahmad, I'm really happy with him. He's got 3 points. He could have easily had another 10-pointer. And then you got Palmer, quite disappointing to be honest. He did have a 1v1 and then he just absolutely fumbled versus City. And then up front, Mateta, Chris Wood, quite disappointing. They both hauled last week, but this week they had a blank. But I'm still happy. They've given me enough returns for me to have some patience on them. And Isak, who was the best captain, to be honest. Let's call it spade a spade. But I didn't have the balls to do it. If you did do it, congratulations to you. Well done. But again, another green arrow. Alhamdulillah. Now let's move on to my Game Week 24 transfer plans. So for Game Week 24, your boys decided to sell Enzo Fernandez. That was one of the worst transfers I've made this season, I'll be honest. The guy was a complete flop. I know it's only 4.9 million when I bought him. Still, he was a flop. And since he got that freaking, 3 or 4 week stretch of getting a couple of returns, he's completely shut the bed. So got rid of him for Kluivert, who smashed it again versus Forest. He had a hat-trick versus Newcastle, and then he had another goal and assist versus Forest. So it's an insane form. I didn't want to basically wait too long because ultimately I know I would want him in come Game Week 25. And then last but not least, your boy Foden. I mean, that breaks my heart, man. I have to sell him, unfortunately. The fixtures are getting tough now. They have Arsenal next, along with Liverpool, and then they have, I think, Forest in between and Newcastle as well. So there's a really tough fixture coming up. I could have still kept him, but I wanted to bring in Mbeumo, whose fixture, as you guys can see, he's got Tottenham, West Ham, Leicester, Everton. The next 4 is ridiculous. And not only that, Mbeumo is a nice, cheeky captaincy shout come Game Week 26, where there's limited options. And then Kluivert, his fixture from Game Week 25 onwards, like sea of greens, to be honest. Every single fixture, in my opinion, is a green, although it doesn't say there. And he's in exceptional form. He looks like to be a talisman now, and he's on pens as well. So I'm happy to have both of them in my team. Now, ultimately, the money that I've got from the Foden transfer, I am looking to do something interesting with that, and we'll get into it. And I'm looking to maybe potentially activate my assistant manager chip on slot. So let's look at my Game Week 24 team selection. So for Game Week 24, as you guys can see, I'm currently lining up with Trent as well as Salah, who are my only 2 double game week players. And if you saw my transfers, as you guys can see, I didn't bring in any double game week players. I know that's a bit odd, but still, I'm not a fan of, Everton assets. I don't really trust them. I feel like it's a 1 week punt just for the Leicester fixture. And Liverpool, I feel like that's just going to be appearance points. So I'm not too high on Everton. I know other people are. They're doubling up, tripling up on them. But that's just not going to be me. Same with triple Liverpool. I'm not so high on the third Liverpool attacker. I guess Gakpo is a good option if you jumped on him last week. But this week, it seems a bit more risky considering he did start in the Champions League. And there is a fixture congestion for Liverpool. And I just feel like it's a short-term move. And I'm quite happy with my front three at the moment. In regards to slot, I put him there as if the chip is activated. However, it is not. I'm still thinking about it. I'm 50-50 whether to do it or not. I do have the money in the bank, 1.6 million, so I could afford any manager I want, and slot is 1.5. So it's not the best double in the world. Everton is a Merseyside derby. Bournemouth has been in insane form. It's a bit risky. That's why I'm a bit more hesitant. But overall, the team looks pretty good, to be honest. Although there is a dilemma whether to start double Arsenal defense versus City or potentially start Nico Williams, who's got Brighton at home. But we'll get to that. So as I said, double Arsenal defense: Raya, Gabriel, Hall, Trent. Look, a lot of people are considering is double Liverpool defense worth it? I think for this fixture, I think there's at least one clean sheet. If you really wanted to triple up on Liverpool and you had like a Sanchez or something like that, I do think maybe you consider Alisson. But again, defenders, there's not much upside. So maybe you go for Gakpo still, but I don't like that either. Hence, I got double Liverpool only, and my triple will potentially be slot. In midfield, you got your standard, obviously, Salah, Palmer, and the new addition to my team, of course. Welcome back, Sir Brian Mbeumo, who has been killing my rank. Not the last 2 weeks, I guess last week as well, but even the prior weeks when I saw him. So he punished me, so I'm glad to own him again. And then you got Ahmad, who's got Palace at home. Bit of a tough fixture, but who would you play ahead of him? Kluivert, maybe considering his form. So I have quite a bit of few benching dilemmas. Nico Williams or Kluivert will be most likely for Gabriel or Ahmad, or maybe even Nico Williams for Hall. Let me know what you guys think. But team looks solid. Midfield, I'm happy with, even back line, to be honest. And then in the front line, you got Chris Wood, Mateta, and Isak. Chris Wood, a lot of people are selling him, but I still think this Brighton fixture as well as Fulham fixture is not as tough as it seems on paper. So I'm still quite high on to keep him. And he does suit my long-term plan of not free hitting in Game Week 29, where he does play Ipswich. And I think that's where most people will buy him back. So I don't want to sell him. I already sold him twice this season and I've regretted it. So I want to keep faith there. Mateta, United away, a bit of a tough fixture, but you can never know. He's a bit talismanic as well as on pens, so you could still get a return there. So overall, I'm happy with this team. Let me know what would you guys do? Who would you start? Nico Williams or Kluivert? I've got a bit of a dilemma there, but I feel like I would stick with Ahmad, but most likely it will be Nico Williams for Gabriel, and my backline will probably be Williams, Hall, and Trent and Raya. So now let's look at the assistant manager chip and see how it works and when is the best time to use it. So for the assistant manager chip, there are a couple of basics. So one thing to keep in mind, once you activate the chip and you select a manager, it will cost you a transfer. So for example, if I activate the chip right now, this week, and I pick slot, I won't be able to basically transfer him out within this week before the game week 24 starts to Moyes, because I'll need to use a free transfer. So keep in mind, if you activate your chip, be 100% sure which manager you're picking, whether it's slot or Moyes, because once you pick that manager, you need to use a free transfer. It's not like a free hit where you can keep on switching players, or it's not like a wild card. Once you activate, you can keep on switching one player to another without any transfers. But this one is a bit different, so keep that in mind. Another thing to keep in mind is that once you activate the chip, it is active for 3 game weeks. If it's a double game week, you'll get 4 games. If it's a single game week, you'll get 3 games in total. And you can't use any other chip once it's activated. And then another thing is the managers will cost. The cost is from 0.5 million to 1.5 million. For example, someone like Moyes will be 5 million, and someone like Pep, Arteta, and Slot will be 1.5. That does come out of your budget of your squad. So after the 3 game weeks, you will get the money back that you use from your squad. And even when you transfer out managers, so for example, you go from Slot to Moyes, you get 1 million back on your bank. So just another thing to keep in mind. And you can basically transfer your managers. Say for example, you have picked Slot in Game Week 24, 25, you can go to Silva or Arteta, whoever you want. And one more thing is that the manager does count as the 3 maximum assets per team. So for example, I have double Liverpool, so now I can pick Slot. But if I had triple Liverpool, I couldn't have picked Slot. And how the point system works is ultimately 6 points for win, 3 points per draw, 1 point per goal, and 2 for clean sheet. And this is the most interesting part about this chip, which has the biggest upside and makes this chip one of the most powerful chip in the game, is that you get 5 points for a draw if you pick an underdog. If a team is 5 position or below, they get 5 points for a draw versus a favorite as an underdog. And if a team beats that, if an underdog or beats a favorite, they get 10 bonus points, along with the fact that 6 points for win. So that would be total maybe 16 points for just winning and 2 points for clean sheet, that's 19. And if they score any goals, that's another 1 point. That'll be 20 points. So the chip has an extremely high ceiling, especially if you pick an underdog and the underdog beats a favorite. A good example could be, for example, if you pick a Bournemouth manager this week, which is Areola, to beat Liverpool, Areola would most likely get 19 to 20 points if they win 1-0. So that's huge. And if he does that, if he can pick 3 underdogs in a 3 game weeks in a row, the ceiling is 60 points. And if it's a double game week and you pick 4 underdogs, it could be 80 points. So by far, this is one of the most powerful chip in the game. So you gotta make sure you plan it, and you do target and maybe potentially optimize the chip by getting those table bonuses. So yeah, now moving on to the pricing with the managers to see which managers cost how much. So when you look at the pricing, as I mentioned, guys, the likes of Arteta, Maresca, Slot, Guardiola, they do cost 1.5 million, as they should. They're top teams. And obviously, you got your mid-table teams, the likes of Glasner, Emery, they'll cost 0.8 million. Obviously, Ange as well. And then you got your likes of Areola or Hustler, who could potentially get top 6. They're 1.1 million, which is a bit odd, but, just to keep in mind when you activate this chip, and if you have a plan to switch manager to manager, you might want to keep 1.5 million in the bank to have that flexibility. So now let's look at the predicted doubles and blanks, as well as my chip strategy, and see when is the best time to use this chip. I'm sure you guys have already seen the slides before in previous videos, but as you guys can see at the bottom, my chip strategy currently is to use the assist manager chip in GameWeek 24 and navigate the blank in 29, free hit 33, then into 34, and walk out 35 and bench push 36. But this plan can change. I'm only considering this plan right now, currently, is if we get a provisional announcement from the Premier League. If Liverpool does lose to Spurs in the Carabao Cup semi-final, that Tottenham versus, for example, Fulham, they will double in game week 25. And that's when the AMP chip becomes the most popular chip in the game. And that's when you can actually optimize this chip by getting 5 games instead of 3 or 4 games. So with this chip strategy, the biggest thing that will actually make me want to actually push the button is the fact that if we get a provisional announcement from the Premier League that there is a potential 50% chance that Tottenham and Fulham may double in game week 25 if Tottenham finishes top 8 in the Europa League, which is now confirmed, and if Tottenham beat Liverpool in the Carabao Cup semi-final, where they're leading by 1-0. Now, the difficult thing is the game is away at Anfield. Now, on paper, Liverpool's favourite, considering Tottenham's form recently, they've been losing so many games, but we've seen crazy things happen. And there's 15% chance that that double game will happen. If that does happen, I get to get 5 games from my assistant manager chip, whereas normally I'll get 4 for in a double game week or 3 in a single game week. Now that's huge, and that automatically makes the AMP chip the best chip to use come game week 24. Now whether we will get that announcement or not, I'm not sure, but if we do, I'll most likely activate the chip. And I recommend if you were to be in a dilemma whether to use the TC or the AMP chip, if you get the announcement, I think you should use the assistant manager chip. Otherwise, if you have the triple captain chip, I do think you should probably use it this week. So now let's look at the potential assistant manager chip and which teams I could potentially target from game week 24 to 26. So when you guys looking at this fixture ticker, my provisional plan, as you guys can see from AM24 to 26, I was looking at obviously Slot for 24 and to keep him from 24 to 25. However, I do like the fact that if potentially Brentford beat Spurs this weekend, and if West Ham loses to Chelsea, which is likely, then I could potentially not keep Slot for the Wolves game and go to Potter to target Brentford, because I feel like West Ham at home hosting Brentford is a good fixture, and Brentford has not been that great away from home, and that is a very nice fixture target for a table bonus. If Potter wins 1 or 2-0, that's 20 points, like ridiculous. So I could do that, or I could go to Fulham manager who's Silva, and he has Forest at home. Now that's also a very good odds because Fulham at home, they're quite good, and Forest looks like to be in a bit more in a decline. We're not sure yet. We'll see versus Brighton, but that's also a table bonus fixture. And last but not least, I could also go to McKinnon from Ipswich, who are hosting Spurs at home. So these are the options that I currently have. I could just look to just play the all 3 week safe, but I'm not really optimizing the chip then. Another option to consider is potentially use the AMP chip from 31 to 33, where you get to have 4 underdogs instead of, say for example, 1 or 2 underdogs in my current assistant manager chip strategy. So for example, Amaram has City and Newcastle from 31 to 32, and then you can go to Glasner, Crystal Palace, who actually have Bournemouth and Newcastle as a potential double in 33. So I get to get 4 underdogs. That's insane. Like, if I can get at least 2 of these underdogs right, automatically I get 40 points. Now, will that happen? We don't know yet. I don't know how the Man United will look. Will our form be back? And will Palace still be good? It's a lot of things to go right. There's still quite a few weeks left for that. So it's just an alternative option that you need to consider just to optimize this chip. And I do think it's one of the best chip in the game. Let me know what you guys think, and as well as what your chip strategy is. And I do think that if you have the TC and we don't get the provision of the double game week announcement for game week 25, you should use it on Salah. So let me know what you guys think. That'll be it for today. Make sure to leave a comment, like, and share this video. So I'm going to see you guys next week. Peace out.